Hello, I'm Stewart Jackson, and I work as a family counselor. And in that work, and as a member of my own family, I'm aware of how high our anxiety is as a country, as a globe, and in our individual families. And I was motivated to try to put together some of these video chats by a family member and by these families with whom I have a privilege to work, to offer a way of thinking about this that has meant a lot to me and has been important as I think through how to respond and how I want to be as we move through this global crisis. That way of thinking was new when I first learned it, and it still is, I guess. It's different. It was developed by a man named Dr. Murray Bowen, and it's helped me to think through my own responses to challenges in life. All of us have these challenges, and part of it is the challenge to be the most responsible self we can be. But we don't just go off and do that by ourselves, do we? We all live in the context of other people and other relationships, usually families. One of this way of thinking of Dr. Bowen's is that the family seems to operate as a unit. He discovered that this was true everywhere you go on the globe. One illustration that many have used is to think of like a mobile. You know those mobiles that you see in art museums or on the bedsides of children's beds? If you touch one part of a mobile, the other parts vibrate, depending on how closely they are connected. That's the same way it is in our families, isn't it? Something happens to one person, and it is affecting everyone else's behavior and thinking, depending on how close the relationship is. So there's never any doubt, shouldn't be any doubt to anybody that we as a species, we're all connected on this planet. And what happens halfway around the world can affect us even here. So how do we practice being the best part of the mobile that we can be, the best family member? And I use the word practice like I would, like say, practicing baseball or playing a piano. I don't do either one of those very well, so I have to practice. Or I did have to practice. But the practice means that you don't have to be perfect. We are all practicing being the best self. Some days we do it better than others. One way to practice, though, a practical way, is to pay attention to what are your expectations for self and for others that you live with. I made it into a math formula. If expectation is greater than reality, it's always going to equal disappointment. I mean, you've had a blind date, haven't you? So you know what I mean. Expectations seem to be very important for every family that is and ever was. What do we expect of others? And are we able to be clear about those? And are our expectations in line with the reality of who we are expecting it from? I don't expect my 94-year-old mother to cut my grass. I mean, that would be dumb. I expect my wife to cut. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. But our expectations must be in line with the person and with the reality of that person. And it must grow as that person grows. But maybe even more important are the expectations that we have for ourselves. You may have been given some pretty high expectations by your parents who got it from their parents, who got it from their parents. And without ever having examined those expectations, you can live your life uh, trying to live up to the expectations of others rather than paying attention to what you expect of you. What are your standards for being the best uh, mother, father, sibling, son, daughter, uh, human being, woman, man, citizen, a person of faith? These are all parts of who you are. What are your standards for living up to those? Can you call them to mind? Can you practice improving, moving towards those standards? Are the standards in line with reality? Right now, our reality has shifted, and we must now be more closely related. So it's more important now to expect each other to practice things that we don't usually have to practice, like being good fellow housemates. And, if you get it out, you put it up. Things like that. So we'll get through this, but everyone has a responsibility to play, more or less, whether you live alone or whether you live in the context of a big family. I hope you're well. You're stronger than you know. So stay strong. Stay at home.